when it's all said and done and Mashiach comes and we're being redeemed and we're being saved and we're going to the Olam Haba, where are you going to be in that story? Where is the secular Jew going to be in that story? If you're going to answer, look, what can I tell you? Look at the books, look at the sources. If you're religious and you did tshuva, you're in. If not, you're out. How come Hashem protected Achav and his idol worshiping generation if you're out? Seems like Achav and his generation were in. So maybe you're in. Let's open up our eyes a little bit. So the Lubavitch Rebbe shows us a beautiful insight. Someone whose parents and who they themselves, their parents, and so on, went off the path of Judaism. They were raised secular. It's as if they were raised non-Jewish. And the point is this, a secular Jew has no idea about all of this. And from his perspective, it's almost impossible to accept it. It's like asking a non-Jew to believe in Judaism. He doesn't, because he's a non-Jew. So this person is externally a non-Jew, and there's a Jew trapped inside. A Jew trapped inside is not responsible. He's called exempt. When a person is a product and a result of his unfortunate environment, he is guiltless. He's exempt. So this one secular Jew said, where am I going to be when Mashiach comes? And a girl heard that many people are going to die before Mashiach comes. She said, I'm afraid I'm going to be one of them. The answer is, not so. Don't judge yourself. Hashem knows how to judge you better. You won't not only be on line, you might be in the front of the line. Because when Mashiach comes, what are these secular Jews where are they going to be? They're guiltless. They're sinless. Imagine, a secular Jew is guiltless and sinless. He's not stopping Mashiach. So the secular Jew is not holding back Mashiach. Maybe if she screams at her mother, she should know better. Maybe if she steals at work, she should know better. But religiously speaking, for not participating in Judaism, she is clean as a whistle. We're dirty. Did I daven shachris with a minion today? My priest, I'm not saying. We're the ones that are responsible. So when Mashiach comes, or even before Mashiach comes, more than likely, who's stopping Mashiach from coming? It's the people that already know God and that are not doing. People that don't know God just don't know. They're exempt. But let's take another look at that person that's exempt from punishment and exempt from accountability, because again, it's beyond their point of choice. They can't even choose on a good day to put on tefillin, so they're not going to be held accountable for not putting on tefillin. Now, on a soul level, there's a different discussion, but we're talking about on a practical level. But what does that Jew have, that estranged Jew? Let's say that college guy on campus that they say, I'm wearing my Jewish star. No, it's not a mitzvah to wear a Jewish star. What mitzvah is it to wear a Jewish star? No mitzvah. In fact, you could have used that money on that ridiculous gold chain to do something with it. You could have given it to the poor. There's no mitzvah. But when he puts on that gold chain and says, I'm wearing my gold Jewish star to college, he's doing Akedas Yitzchak. He's reaching the level of Yitzchak Avinu, because he's willing to give up his safety, his comfort zone, and getting beat up and who knows what in this crazy world for Hashem. He doesn't even know why he's doing it. He has that merit. He's proud to be a Jew in America. He doesn't keep Shabbos, doesn't keep kosher. He's front in line. The answer is, if anything, you're in front of me, that's what I do know. And maybe in front of the line, that's what I know. And if anything, why Mashiach is not here is not your fault, it's my fault. That's how we're going to get there. You're judged on what you know and what you can do, not what you can't do. The whole point of what I'm saying is if it was beyond your ability to see the light and see the truth, you're exempt. If you could see the light and the truth and do, then you're obligated to do. The Arizal could not say Aleph Beis and get away with praying just Aleph Beis. There's this beautiful story, but the Arizal contrasted with some person that grew up estranged from Judaism. They both went to the shul, and the one guy didn't know how to pray. He said, Abba, Hashem, I only know Aleph Beis. Aleph Beis, Gimel, Daled, Hey, Vav. Take that as my prayer. And if the Arizal would do that, he'd be laughed at. The Arizal knew how to pray everything with Kavanah, Kabbalah. The Arizal has to be the Arizal. That unfortunate boy that was kidnapped from his home and raised as a non-Jew that came to a shul in the middle of Yom Kippur davening and said, Hashem, I love you. Please forgive me. Please accept my prayer. Aleph Beis, Gimel, Daled. That Hashem cherished. But not if the Arizal would say Aleph Beis. Right. That would be a disgrace. You have to be who you are and the best you that you could be. And if you're being the best you that you can be, then Hashem loves you. You're perfect. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So then why should somebody who doesn't know anything be rewarded for being in the front of let's say, the line versus somebody who knows what to do and what not to do?
Okay.
And who actually tries to bring Mashiach versus somebody who doesn't know that they should be.
There are certain things we know as human beings. Being kind, giving charity, respecting your parents, being a good person. If that person is succeeding in that, so Hashem will judge that person for that. And maybe in that area is enough for her to be in front of the line. I didn't say that they could be a thief, a child molester. I didn't say they could be wicked and be in front of the line. I said that from religiosity, not understanding or accepting the Jewish religiosity, worship, holidays, Sabbath, Passover, not eating a cheeseburger or having bread on Pesach. If that's what they're not on a level to respect, that Hashem can forgive. But they have common sense. If you're going to murder people, if you're going to rape people, if you're going to kidnap people, then obviously you're not going to be in front of the line.
Right.
So it's a judgment of what you're able to accomplish, and on what you're able to accomplish, Hashem knows how to judge. Yeah.
So it is possible then that somebody who, let's say, doesn't know much about Torah can be not on the front of the line.
Yeah, if he's a bad person in other areas that he's responsible for, then he'll be responsible. But I want to, in one line, put it, ignorance is only bliss until you realize you're ignorant. Right. And once you realize you're ignorant, you have to do something about it. If they know, then they're responsible. If they don't know, then they can't be responsible. But everyone knows not to be a mass murderer. That you don't have to be taught. That you just know. So someone who decides to be a mass murderer and torture people, that person's not in line. That person deserves to be punished, of course, regardless of his religiosity level. That's not called eating a cheeseburger. Eating a cheeseburger is a different story because it makes no sense. What I'm saying is actually not me, it's the Lubavitch Rebbe. A person that had zero chance to accept the religious Jewish philosophy aspect of Judaism, meaning cheeseburgers, Sabbath, bread on Pesach, this area of things that are beyond logic and impossible for him to accept because of where he's coming from. It's like a non-Jew that doesn't trust Jews and Judaism. So he's on the surface, the same thing. It's his soul is buried inside. So on a practical level, he's like a non-Jew. Would I judge a non-Jew for not respecting the law of cheeseburgers? The halacha is you can't trust a non-Jew, even if he says, I believe it, because he doesn't really believe it. I worked as a mashkiach in a restaurant, and every one of these non-Jewish workers, because they want their job, said, listen, I respect all of your laws, and I would never go against them, of course. And trust me, put cameras in the kitchen and watch that guy make a mistake and put a piece of cheese where it's not supposed to be or use the wrong pot for the wrong thing. He's going to take a look this way and that way, and nobody's watching. It never happened. You know why? Because nobody risks real money for monopoly money. He's not going to get fired for something that he thinks is ridiculous and doesn't believe in. Because nobody would, and I wouldn't either. If I took a fish pot and used it to make a steak by mistake, and I'm going to tell the boss every time I do it, he needs to buy a new pot, and he's going to fire me and charge me for the pot, I will look the other way, because I don't believe in it. Why would I risk my real job and paying my real rent and feeding my real children for some monopoly game? I wouldn't. And to a person who doesn't believe in Judaism, it's less than monopoly. You know why? Because at least I enjoy playing Monopoly. So it's less than monopoly. So you're going to judge that secular Jew, that's father was secular and his grandfather maybe was to absolute rejected Judaism. You're going to say, how could you not? Don't you know it says in the Torah you can't mix milk and meat? It's a fairy tale for him. Oh, but in Egypt there was miracles. You don't know that hail turned to fire. Talk to my baby. He'll listen to you. What are you talking to me? This is nonsense. And certainly, even if we're wrong, we still have a mitzvah to don our friend l'kaf zchus. So what some people will argue with is they're Rishaim. They're Rishaim. You don't have to judge them l'kaf zchus. I'm saying they're not Rishaim. If anything, they're more righteous than you because they're a tinok shenishba. You would take a kidnapped child that was raised as a guy and call him a Rasha and say, because you were raised as a Rasha, I don't have to respect you? I can yell at you and I can scream at you, I can spit on you? No. So the difference I'm saying is this. They're not a Rasha that I could scream at, yell at, and disrespect because they're tinok shenishba. Once they're a tinok shenishba, they're exempt from responsibility and accountability. Then they're an innocent victim that was taken advantage of. In that sense, I have to have compassion and mercy for them. That's all I'm saying. And it's theoretical. I don't have to go inside their brain and decide that they qualify. Hashem is going to decide if they qualify as a tinok shenishba. But I can assume that secular Jews today that are running around in Tel Aviv all night partying, or in Manhattan, and they're in college and they're secular and they have nothing to do with Judaism, I can don them all the kaf zchus and say they're probably a tinok shenishba, and I can treat them like one. Because at the end of the day, my treatment of them as a tinok shenishba isn't creating a halacha. Hashem will decide in the end of the day if they're in front of the line, in the middle line, back of the line. But let me tell you, at the end of the day, everyone's online. There is no Jew that's been kicked out of the line. That just doesn't exist. Because one neshama is one neshama. And this is how the Mekubalim explain it, and I have a whole shir for it. I'm not going to do it now, but this is the reality. Even though that some Gemaras talk about Rishon being kicked out of Olam Haba, it's only a temporary thing. It's only like a qualified thing. In the end of the day, every single Jewish neshama has Olam Haba forever with us, all together. Hashem knows how to make it work. It's not my job to make it work. How can a person be a sinner and be in the same Olam Haba as me? He'll pay his way, I'll pay my way, and we'll all be home. Because my brother's going to be there with me. And Hashem wants all of his children there, not just some of them. That's the reality. When the Lubavitch was wondering, do I have to have gvura, or should I just be pure love? His Rebbe told him, our way is love. That's it, pure love. The Lubavitch Rebbe was a very nice person. You could see it. He had such beautiful eyes because he saw the beauty in us. And of course, that's what I mean by beauty. I don't mean he had beautiful eyes and like I wish I had his blue eyes. He had beautiful eyes because his eyes saw beauty. He saw the beauty in God's world and the beauty in God's children and his brothers and sisters. And what a smile he had. And what a positive way he found to encourage us. They wanted to build a shul. They said, we don't want to take a loan. We don't want to take a loan, right? A big bunch of rich people from Miami, millionaires. We want to open up a shul, but we only want to spend the money we raise. We raised the $500,000. We'll build a $500,000 shul. So the Rebbe looked at him. He's like, you have a home? Yeah, I have a home. You have a home? Yeah, I have a home. Your home has a mortgage? Of course. Your home has a mortgage? Of course. So your home has a mortgage, and God's home can't have a mortgage? Of course, God's home can have a mortgage. It was a $3 million shul that they ended up building, at least at the time. Anyways, the Rebbe had an unbelievable way of bringing out the good from people through goodness, not through yelling, he knew how to look at his fellow Jew, and Hashem sent them all to him. Anyway, so the story goes like this. When he was a young student, though, a student, meaning like an avrech over in his 20s, I believe, whatever the age was, he wasn't the Rebbe. And he wasn't even thinking about being the Rebbe, because anyone that ever becomes a Rebbe wasn't thinking of becoming a Rebbe. If you're thinking of becoming a Rebbe, then you're already disqualified, on a certain level, because that's not what Rebbes are, and that's not what Jewish leadership. Jewish leadership is actually not a program that I should join, because it means you want to be a leader, and then you're already disqualified. That's from Judaism perspective. So he wasn't trying to be the Rebbe; he was just trying to be a Jew and help his fellow Jew. And he was very nice. He used to bring. When secular Jews would come around 770, where the Chabad was located in New York, he would always come and greet them with a smile and warmth and acceptance. And he made it always pleasurable, and he was just very nice and very loving. The older Hasidim saw his behavior and actually said, you're wrong. And they criticized him and said, how could you be so nice? It's like you're telling them that they could continue sinning. You're not supposed to do that. It's wrong. You have to give them tochacha. You have to tell them that they're wrong and tell them that they have to change. So the Rebbe said, who am I? What am I? Maybe they're older than me. Maybe they know better than me. He said, I'll go ask my Rebbe. I'll go ask the Rebbe. And he went in to talk to the Rebbe, and he spoke to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave him an answer. As soon as he came out, the chassid he said to the people around, he said, you want to come and listen to what the Rebbe said. This is the Kiddush from our Rebbe. This is what he said. And here's the story. The Rebbe answered his question like this. He said, when parents have a child, they love that child infinitely. They love that child like you can't love the child any more than you love the child. Your child you love, you can't love him any more than you do. All of a sudden a second child shows up. And somehow they love that child also, infinite. As much as they can love him, they love him. That's 2 times infinite love. So unfortunately, it shouldn't happen, but if it does happen, comes a 3rd or 4th child, whenever it happens, a handicapped child. A child that doesn't have something. He's missing something. Doesn't function the way that everyone else works. He's not a perfect child like the other ones. So he said, the father and mother love that child even more. How can you love a child more infinitely than you love the other ones infinitely? How do you? Because their heart goes out to him or her more, because he's missing something. And because of that, there's more love, more empathy, a stronger connection. And that was his answer. He said, God's children that are handicapped and suffering and estranged and far from the religion, Hashem loves them more than he loves the ones that are close. More than the ones that are close. I'll give you a simple analogy. It probably brings this point home. This is a beautiful story, but here's an analogy. Imagine a father and his oldest son have a fight, a really bad fight, and the son runs away. And all of the other kids see this, and they're affected by it, but they go on with their lives, and you have all the other kids are amazing kids. They listen to their parents, they do good in school, they're helpful, they're perfect kids. Okay, 10 years go by, and this kid comes back. And he sees his parents. The other kids, the brothers and sisters, see these parents acting in a way they never saw them act before. Loving this kid, they come and they hug him, and they won't let go of him, and they're crying, and it's unbelievable. And the kids are confused. One of the older ones is like, we're here, we all the time do what they want, and they never treated us like that. They're confused. How come they're showing him more love than they ever showed us? Yeah, because they lost him for so long. When you have something, you love it in a certain way. But when you lose something and you get it back, you love it in a different way. You cherish it in a different way. All these children of Hashem that are lost, souls that are being destroyed, suffering, Hashem has more love for them than we can imagine. And like I said, they'll be on that line somewhere. Most of them probably in the front or a lot further up the line than we assume. That's all I'm saying.